We all know that staying fit, healthy and strong is incredibly important, but it's even more so as you get older. As someone coming into their mid-40s, I want to know exactly what I need to do to ensure I have the best possible time on and off the bike. To help me find out everything I need to know and field my incessant questions is Ben Plenge, who runs the Strength Factory. Now, Ben's been a strength coach for over a decade and helps keep riders fit and strong for everything they need on the bike.
Hey Rob, great to be here, mate.
Ben, I'm over 40. Why do I need to worry now? Why is 40 the benchmark?
First things first, Rob, you don't actually need to worry,
Oh,
okay? And in one sense, 40 is just a number, it's just another day older. But for a lot of people, it's a time of their life where life gets in the way. And what that means for a lot of people in broader society and on mountain bikes is that they don't look after themselves as much as they should. If you're not already doing it, now is the time to strike. Now is the time to make those changes, because it is going to take some work. But if you don't do it now, it's only going to get hard if you start doing this at 50 or 60 or whenever you start. The way you age is very much in your control. It's about the things you do now are going to affect your quality of life and the quality of your riding and your ability to have fun and just to be a great human.
Okay then, Ben, so in your opinion, what are the key things I need to do to prevent me getting weak and creaky?
Let's lay it out nice and simple. Number one, like I said earlier, some resistance training, strength training, whatever you want to call it. Number two, regular cardiovascular exercise. And it doesn't always just have to be on the bike. Number three, let's minimize and keep on top of stress, because that's going to restrict your ability to adapt and to actually improve from the work you're doing. And then it's just the bigger picture stuff like eating well, sleeping well, and try not to let yourself gradually put on that body fat, okay? And then everything will be better.
Now, Ben, you mentioned resistance training. I'm guessing some of that's in the gym.
The gym is certainly one option, and for my money, it's the best option. And what we've done is we're going to go through a few key exercises I think are useful for a lot of 40 plus mountain bikers. But I just want to remind you, there's 1,000 different exercises you could be doing, and it's about finding the right one for the kit you've got, the experience, and your level of fitness. But if we start off then with something that we did called the single leg box squat. And this is a great one because number one, it's scalable for all sorts of riders in terms of how tall you are, how strong you are, because all we're going to do is you're going to lower yourself down under control, hopefully, that's the key, on a single leg onto a box or a bench like we did,
yeah.
Press back into the floor to stand yourself back up. And again, the lower the bench or platform you're going to use, or if you're still just starting out, or if you're a bigger person, then you're going to start on a higher one. And the goal is, rather than maybe adding weight to a bar on another exercise, is to gradually work to lower levels. This is a great way to get strong, as well as developing all those stabilizing muscles around the hips and lower leg and ankle and things like that. And by doing single leg work as well, we can really try and promote and develop like symmetry.
I certainly found the balance tricky.
Yeah,
initially.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, again, if you're over 40 now and you're not playing any team sports or doing stuff like that, and you're wearing like thick shoes every day, then actually balance is one of the things that starts to get eroded.
Right. So
if we can then use a bit of balance as part of our strength training, then we can maintain that and hopefully improve that as well.
Perfect. Ben, after the single leg work, we went on to Romanian deadlifts. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. RDLs, as we call them. We did the RDL on two legs, okay, which is going to let us move a bit more load and put a bit more strain through the body. This is more of a hip dominant exercise, whereas the single leg work we were doing is a bit more working around the knee. And ideally, we want to try and hit both as part of a training session.
Why am I going to want to do the Romanian deadlifts?
So if you think about your bike position, stood on the pedals, your attack position, or whatever you want to call it, that's basically it. That weight pushed back into the hips, where you've got tension in like your bum or hamstrings and the back of your thighs. And if we can strengthen that position, it creates a great foundation to then, really nail the basics of mountain biking.
So that's hinging.
Exactly, that's what it's all about, hinging at the hips. So we really focus on sliding your bum back, okay? And that's the key here. A lot of people get this wrong. They just bend forward.
Which I did a couple of times.
And we've all done, and that's why it's important to either get some coaching or watch like a good video on YouTube or something to learn how to do these things. Because you really want to look for that tension in the bum and in the hips. And when you find that, that's far enough. you're just kind of looking for a big stretch in a way.
And I certainly felt that, and still am, 2 days later.
Yeah, when you first start, soreness is part of this process. You know, you're going to be uncomfortable. If you always think in the short term and think about tomorrow's ride or the next ride, then actually you're never going to get anywhere, because you need to push through a little period of adaptation where maybe a few rides are a little bit uncomfortable to get to a point where you are stronger and it's not going to affect your rides, and then you're on that upward path to just being a strong rider.
So if I keep at it with the Romanian deadlifts, despite the fact I'm a bit sore now, I should start to feel the benefits on the bike soon enough.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll start to adapt and, you know, hopefully be a bit less sore. Simple.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What do we move on to next?
Okay, so we've hit some knee dominant, we've hit some hip. We're going to go upper body now, pulling. Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not all just about the mirror muscles and the pushing. We've got to pull as well.
Yeah.
Strengthen the arms and back. And so what we did was a horizontal row. We did it primarily on a set of rings, which are actually really inexpensive for like home training and stuff as well. Or you can do it under a bar. And the goal of this exercise is really simple, is to pull your body weight so your hands are sort of tucked in at the side of your ribs, very roughly. If you're not so strong or you're a bit of a bigger person, then you can just stand up a bit and lean at about a 45-degree angle, and it's going to be a lot easier. As you get stronger, you can come down like you were. Okay, you're a strong guy, Rob. You were under those rings, chest all the way up every rep, and that was with the knees bent. And then the progression from that would be to get your body completely straight, like rigid, on your heels, and that would be the next one, and so on and so on.
And how's that going to help me on the bike?
So we're pushing and pulling on those bars, aren't we? You know, you don't want to be a passenger. If you're going to be active on the bike, your posture, your position is supported by obviously that hinge position we talked about, and then it's also about that being strong in the upper body. And strong upper body is about balance. It's about balancing the pushing and the pulling, and obviously we'll talk about the push in a minute.
But all of that stuff is going to help me maintain that muscle mass that I'm potentially losing if I do nothing, right?
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be crazy amounts of training that take over your life. You're like eating broccoli for breakfast every day.
Yeah.
It's just consistently, ideally, if you can find 45 minutes to an hour twice a week, that is definitely enough to make progress, to maintain that muscle mass, so that you can keep enjoying your riding through your 40s, 50s, 60s, and as long as you want to.
Amazing. Next we did the landmine press. Now I remember that because of the name, because it's quite unusual. Exactly. So why is the landmine press a good option for us over 40s?
So we want to get the pushing work done, and we want to do it ideally out to the front of the body and roughly somewhere overhead. And that's where the landmine press is great, because actually you're kind of pressing at more of a 45 degrees out from the body. And so it's a great exercise for just normal people who maybe aren't as flexible as they used to be. So you can get strong, you can get strong shoulders, you get a nice bit of grip as well with the instability, and a bit of upper chest work as well. And so the landmine press just puts you in a really safe position where you can just get a bit of work done and get strong.
Now Ben, imagine for a minute, I've got no money, I can't afford to go to the gym. What can I do to try and maintain that strength and fitness as I'm getting older?
First things first, let's look at some of the stuff we've already done. That single leg box squat, you could do that on a kitchen chair, you can do it in the garage. Same with bodyweight training in general. You don't need loads of weights to stimulate that, those adaptations that we want. You can use your body weight, squats, lunges, step ups, and more parks these days have got things like pull-up bars and dip stations and those little outdoor gyms. And some of the kit is a bit suspect, if I'm honest. But if you can find, half decent outdoor gym, then that's free. If you are going to train at home, a really affordable bit of kit that you can literally have tomorrow from Amazon is a set of resistance bands, and they'll last you absolutely years, and you can use them for hundreds of different exercises.
We also did a few push-ups and pull-ups, and I've got to admit, if you do enough of those, it does absolutely rinse you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Press-ups, pull-ups, get a bar up in a doorway in the house or wherever you do that, or at the park, as I said. Just, take some time to learn to do it properly, focus on some good technique, because they normally need a bit of a tidy up to really make it nice and safe, especially if you start doing more reps.
So Ben, I'm obviously a bike rider at heart. Is there anything I can do on the bike that's going to help?
Yeah, absolutely. this is the fun bit, isn't it? You know,
yeah, exactly.
Actually getting fit on bikes.
Yeah.
The first thing you can do, which I know isn't easy for busy people, is ride more, you know.
Okay.
And if you can get an extra little midweek ride in, or if you can extend a ride, or even you can just get a little bit of a lunchtime spin, that's really going to make a big difference to most riders.
So are you talking about just spending time on a mountain bike?
Well, look, I understand on like a cold winter's day and it's all wet, it's hard to get out for that extra mountain bike ride. So actually anything will do, you know. You can go road, gravel, e-bike, dare I say it, turbo trainer, or you know what, you can go for a run.
Yay, running. I love running.
Good. And it all crosses over. Your body, in a way, it doesn't know the difference, you know. And I'm a big believer in something's better than nothing.
So Ben, if you were coaching me, what sort of stuff would you recommend I was doing?
Number one, keep it simple. Let's try and do some easy, low intensity work. You may have heard it called base miles or zone 2 or aerobic training.
Yep.
We need to try and hit some of that. We need to try and hit some intense work, which can either be like a structured interval session, or it can just be a more naturally occurring one where you're like, I'm just going to ride up that hill as fast as I can,
Okay.
or nearly as fast.
Yeah.
And then we need to fill the gap in the middle. But that kind of happens naturally. If you go on a group ride with some mates or something, or a club, then most group rides kind of happen in that mid-intensity zone there. So assuming you're doing that, then that will kind of take care of itself.
So when it comes to the low intensity zone 2, whatever you want to call it, how long am I going to be riding for? And how do I know I'm in that target zone? But also, when it comes to intervals, if I've never done intervals before, what do they even look like?
Okay, let's start with that low intensity, that zone 2 work. Like I said, it's a low heart rate, low intensity. And while you're doing it, you should be able to talk relatively easily, and potentially you're going to be able to just breathe through your nose with your mouth closed as well. And another way to think of it is, out of 10, where 10 is super hard, and we'll talk about that in a minute, it's probably about a 3 or a 4 out of 10. As for duration and how long we're trying to do it, well, the sky's the limit in a way. Because it's low intensity, you can do a lot of it without getting too burnt out and tired. So for most people over 40 who are busy, it's more a case of what can you do.
Okay.
So I'd love you to go and do a 2-hour zone 2 ride, but you know, I know you've got kids and a busy job and stuff, so if you can do a 45-minute one once a week, or maybe twice a week, then that's brilliant.
So if I can cruise to work, my commute, and keep it quite steady, which is about 45 minutes, that's going to help me.
Absolutely, it all counts, you know. Yeah. And there will be people watching who are new to all this sort of thing, and they're going to go out and they're going to try this, and as soon as it kicks up a little bit, their heart rate's going to go through the roof, and they're just going to say, this is ridiculous, I can't do it. And what I would say to those people is that you're the ones who need this the most. That means you have a low level of aerobic fitness, okay? And it is worth the investment, both in terms of your mountain biking, but also of your broader health, you know, and you can't put a price on that.
So can you tell me a little bit about intervals then? What am I going to do if I head out and try to incorporate some of these into a ride, or do I need to do a specific session?
Okay, so at its simplest form, it's a period of time where you're going to ride at a higher intensity than you normally would, followed by a period of time where you're going to ride at a lower intensity to recover. Okay? And it can be as simple as doing 1 minute hard work followed by 3 minutes easy, or something like that. You could do that 4 to 6 times or something like that, and then, you know, allowing for different fitness and how much time you've got. Or it could be as simple as a climb that you normally do as part of your ride, and breaking it down and doing the first half harder than you normally would.
Okay.
You know, so if maybe normally you ride up it at a 6 or a 7 out of 10 effort, and today you're going to ride up it at an 8 or a 9 out of 10 effort, followed by a period of recovery, and then you could either repeat that again, you know, on another lap and so on. So all we want to do is just go that bit more intense than you normally would, to create a bit of extra stress on your body, to create adaptations in your fitness, and then you recover. And you can even do this stuff on a rowing machine as well, or, you know, the sky's the limit really.
Oh,
you
perfect.
know?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's, your body doesn't know the difference in a way. Ideally, yes, spinning your legs in circles is the most specific thing, you know, for being better at riding a bike. But for being just fit and strong and able and being able to do all the things you want to do, then actually just doing a hard session of intervals is going to be effective.
Am I right in thinking as you get older, one of the downsides is some of your explosiveness seems to sort of drop off a bit?
The answer is yes, to a certain extent, but again, your body adapts and reacts to what it's exposed to. So if you don't do anything powerful, if you don't do any jumping or sprinting, then yeah, of course you're gonna lose it. You know, use it or lose it is very true. But guess what? As part of resistance training, for a start, you can train that sort of thing. You know, once you build a basic foundation of strength, then you can maybe start doing some box jumps or something like that if it's appropriate for you. Similarly, on the bike, sprint your bike. I think a lot of people often think they're sprinting. Maybe they do a hard pedal into a trail. I think for most people, most of the time, it's actually a bit of a soft sprint. I want you to imagine you're getting chased by a tiger, Rob. Yeah, all right.
God.
So crank benders, yeah, that's what we're looking for here.
Really giving it some.
Yeah, you've really got to commit to it, okay? Otherwise, again, you're not going to get the adaptations that you want.
Before we wrap up, what would be my 3 to 4 key takeaways so I can keep doing this in my own time and get fitter and stronger now I'm well into my 40s?
A few things to take away there. Number one, you've got to be doing some sort of strength or resistance training. Keep it simple. It could be at the gym or at home. Number two, if you can, try and ride more. And if you can't necessarily ride more, then where can you get some extra like cardio basically? And then as part of that, you know, can you add some intensity? Can you add a bit of structure and maybe some specific aerobic work? And I think number three, like for me, the takeaway for all of this is actually just consistently chipping away and remembering that something is always better than nothing.
Ben, thank you so much. If our viewers want to find out more about what you do, where can they go?
I'd love you to check out my YouTube channel, just called The Strength Factory, or give me a follow on Instagram, strengthfactory_coach.
And if you like more videos like this, you've got to check out where Tom gets absolutely beasted by the pro downhiller Wim Masters. So click on this link here and you can see him suffer in pain. But for more stuff like this, please stay tuned and keep watching to MBUK TV. Thank you. It's so cold. It's all glamour, isn't it? All glamour till the snot's going down your face and you're freezing your arse off.